Hello everybody, welcome to the riders meeting for the 71st Corduroy Enduro, brought to you by Welder's Helper and presented by GP Bikes. First of all, we want to thank all the landowners and the volunteers, especially Hunter's Lumber, who let us use the lumber yard behind the community center. Without them, we just wouldn't have a place for everyone to camp and park. The volunteers, on the weekend there's 100 volunteers here, but ahead of time there's hours and hours of work done on the trails. So just want to thank them. The event program will be online shortly this week, probably the day after this airs. It'll have a lot of the information I say right now. So if you don't catch it all, you can see it when it comes online. So keep an eye out for that. Also, we're not going to have a riders meeting at the event, but on Friday night we'll have a Q&A. So if there's anything I say in this meeting that you have a question about, please don't email or text or anything like that, because I just don't have time to answer them. And we'll answer all your questions so everybody can hear the answers on Friday night at 8 o'clock, okay, before the event starts. In this meeting, we're going to talk about the schedule, the gas stops, the route, the rules, how to put a protest in or check your time if you think there's a problem, how everything works, the sound test, the gas stops, rider conduct, and I've already mentioned the route. So the first thing we're going to talk about is just some housekeeping stuff. Noise. We're in a small community. They can hear what's going on, the whole community. So, 10 o'clock is cutoff time for any noise. Fires. The community center bylaw for where we rent the space for everybody to park says there are no campfires. Also, remember that Hunter Lumber, where a lot of you will probably be camped and parked, is a lumberyard, a sawmill. Do not have a fire. Even propane fired fireplaces, do not use them in that area. If you have a barbecue and you want to barbecue, you should try to get there and get a camping spot away from the lumberyard in the community center. Garbage. We're going to have lots of cans around and that sort of thing. Please pick up all your garbage. And I mean zip ties, tear-offs, duct tape. Don't leave anything behind. Bring your garbage bags with you. If you want to leave the garbage bag, we do have garbage pickup during the weekend, but appreciate if you take it home too. It's just less for us to gather up and get on the trailer. Washrooms. There is a washroom at the playground area in the community center. Otherwise, you're going to be dealing with outhouses. This year, we've ordered some outhouses that have flush toilets and running water. So a little higher up scale, but still, you're the one using these washrooms, so please, be respectful of the person coming behind you. We did have a person who was cleaning washrooms for us the last couple of years. She's not going to do it anymore because of the mess she found. The company that supplies the washrooms, they're going to clean them once over the weekend, but that's it. So just letting you know. Key people, staff, check crews. If it's warm enough, they'll all be wearing yellow t-shirts with Corduroy Crew on the back. So if you have a question, they might be able to help you. Otherwise, come into the community center, and the people in the community center, the officials there, will be able to help you. The referee for the weekend is Jill Carney. She's the Off-Road Ontario referee. And the jury who will deal with any protests or decisions that have to be made about rule infractions or problems is made up of Warren Thaxter, Bob Kendall, Todd Sharpless, and Ian Peters. It works by a simple majority, and if there's a tie in the vote among the jury members, then the referee breaks the tie. Later on, we'll get into how the protests are handled and if you want to get your score fixed, because maybe there's a problem with the timing. But just know that if there is a protest and the protest is dealt with by the jury at the event, there is no further appeal to Off-Road Ontario like there would be at other Off-Road Ontario events. Because it's a two-day event, we need to deal with things on the Saturday in order for Sunday to happen in some cases. So this jury will also take care of protests that happen on Sunday. Hopefully we don't have any issues and we won't have to deal with any of that. It's been very good. But just remember that if you do have a problem with your score, no one's trying to make your score wrong. And just keep that in mind. Everybody's doing this because they love the sport, not because they're being paid to do it. Even the Off-Road Ontario people like the referee and the scorers who do get some money to be there, it just covers their expenses. So remember that, and please act accordingly. Each day is scored separately because towards the 00 points, okay? And this is the National Enduro Championship sanctioned by the CMA. So, but that is 2 days. So how you do over the 2 days is where you finish in the national championship. It's a one event. Since our country's so big, it's the only chance we can get everybody together. So, and obviously the rider with the lowest score from all the special tests over the 2 days is the winner of their class or overall. So what to bring with you? You need 2 10-liter gas cans if you're going to use the gas trucks, if you don't have your own gas crew. We can't have 22-liter cans on, 700 of them on the gas truck. It just won't fit. It's too much gas, and plus they're heavy for everybody to lift. You need a motorcycle that's plated for on or off-road if you're Ontario resident. If you're not, whatever is required to ride off-road or on-road in your province or state. You need your driver's license and insurance with you if you have insurance on your bike. You need a spare air filter is not a bad idea. And a couple other suggestions: if you have a carbureted bike, I would get one of the vent lines up high underneath the tank. Don't have them all going down because of the deep water. In this country where there's a lot of rocks, like in this part of the country, in corduroy country we call it, bib moose and gummy tires are almost a must. You can run with air and regular tires, but your life is going to be a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable on the weekend if you're set up. If you're camping, please make sure you bring everything with you need to take care of yourself and be self-contained. There are no hookups, and it's $20 to camp for the weekend. Bring cash. We're not set up to use any cards or anything like that. And also, if you want to buy an extra t-shirt or a hat or something, you'll need cash. Before you arrive, you need to do the online waiver that you should have received by email. If you haven't received it, you can probably, I'm not sure, I'll make sure, but by the time this airs, get the link on the website. And when you fill that out, when you arrive at the gate and show them that you filled it out and it's got a check mark or whatever it does on your phone, then they will put a armband on your wrist to prove that you have done the waiver. If you haven't at that point, you can either do it on your phone or you can fill out a paper one at the gate and get your armband. It's just going to speed things up if you do it ahead of time. What not to bring: don't bring your dog unless it's happy to be on a leash all weekend. The dogs have to be leashed all the time, okay? And we don't want anybody bringing ATVs or side-by-sides. Someone brought their side-by-side a few years ago and ripped up a lot of the grass in the community center, so please leave them at home. There's no reason to have them with you. If you want a bicycle or a small pit bike to get around, remember that at all times on a motorcycle you must be wearing a helmet, and walking speed is the maximum in all the community center, camping area and pit area and the lumberyard, okay? Safety, we'll just get through that. We do have 2 paramedics on site all weekend to take care of minor things and like that, and also to assist if there is an injury out on the course. During the race, they will be at the gas stops, and hopefully that they'll be close to where if someone gets injured. If it's anything serious and we need to transport the rider and the rider can't get out of the woods by themselves, then we will deploy, utilize 911 because they have equipment to get you out of the woods, and they'll coordinate with if it was needed, a helicopter or whatever is needed. But hopefully we don't have to deal with that. Corduroy has a very good safety record as far as serious injuries. Fire extinguishers, there's one at every gas stop. And the way we keep track of the riders and that sort of thing, and keep the support crews, gas crews informed, is we have a dispatcher. The number for the dispatcher will be on the screen, I think. It'll also be online. It'll be in your program. And so the dispatcher, we have sweep riders who follow all the riders along behind. We have pre-runners, we have check crews, and other officials out there. If anybody comes across a rider who is either injured or their bike's broken and they just, they can't make it, or they're just worn out and they want to stop at a checkpoint, all of these different people will report this with the rider number and their location to the dispatcher. And if they already have figured out a way that they're getting the bike and the rider out of there, either rider's going to go back by roads, he's on a licensed bike, we've given him directions, or he'll come back with check crew, the check crew from check 5 and that sort of thing. So if you're waiting at a gas stop for your rider and you're beginning to worry because they're half an hour, 3/4 an hour late, then you could phone the dispatch number, and if they have a report, they'll let you know. And if they don't know yet, they'll just tell you, well, the sweeps just haven't found them yet, or maybe they're still moving along, they're just running late, maybe they've had a problem. So please do not phone the dispatch number for questions like, where do I find gas? You know, is there a gas station in Irondale? What stuff like that. Because we don't want to load it up with nonsense calls. It's for keeping track of the riders and knowing where everybody is. The dispatcher, when they get a report from our sweep riders or a check crew that a rider's out, they're going to put it on paper and they're going to display it on a rider outboard that's in the community center. So if you're back at the finish, you know, you saw your rider at gas 2, you're back at the finish and they're not showing up, you wander in and look at that board, because on there, you know, it'll have the rider's number. It'll say, you know, 52A broke its chain at check 8. You know, he's with the check crew coming back with them. So the biggest part about safety for the riders is the riders themselves. Because of the way the event is, the first person who's going to come on an injured rider, if there is one, is going to be another rider. So we have a rule in the Off-Road Ontario rule book that says you cannot pass a downed rider without checking to make sure they're okay. I mean, if a rider's sitting on the ground, he may be just taking a rest, or he's maybe working on his bike. Ask as you come up on him, go by him, are you okay? They'll give you a thumbs up or say yes. If they are injured and can't respond, or they say they need help, you need to stop. And the next rider by, you give them the number, you give them the suspected problem, and that rider will report it to the check crew, so that we're not waiting for sweeps to come along before this person gets some assistance, okay? Anyway, that's what's necessary. If you do spend time with a rider, all you gotta do is let the scoring crew know, and they will give the time back. So that will, you won't be penalized for it. The way they give you the time back is they look at your score in all the other tests for the weekend or the day, and they find a rider who is close to you, would probably find something consistently, and then they use that time in that test where you added time to your score. So it works out. In the past, we do this at all the Off-Road Ontario events where something like this happens, and it works out very well. Okay, so next is sign-in on Friday afternoon. I'm not sure the time, it's in the program. I think we've been banging it back and forth, but it's in the program. I think it'll be sometime between 3 and 4 o'clock. I think sound test will open. That's the thing you need to do first. Go to sound test. Sound test is at a different location. It's in the community center grounds, but it's on the corner right near the tennis courts and across from the fire hall. So please line up in single file, and there'll be tents there, and there'll be a form for you to fill out while you're waiting to get your bike tested. Please fill all the information out on it, because we need these stats for ourselves, and also some of our sponsors like to know, you know, the average age of the person riding and that sort of thing. We don't give your names out to the sponsors and that sort of thing. Also on here, we'll record what your bike came in at sound test. We usually give a prize to the quietest bike. Also, we need the rider age, because we have the Bert Irwin Award is for the youngest, best finishing rider. And distance traveled, we like on here, just all sorts of information that we need. So if you fill that out. Also, if you're entering a team, at the bottom is where you fill that out. And then when you come to registration, just hand the sheet in with the other riders. Hopefully we'll get them stapled together, and then and we'll get $15 from you, $5 a rider for a team. And we have a team trophy that we give out, and it's got quite a history to it. It's been around since pretty well the start of the Corduroy. So you fill that out while you're waiting for sound test. You have to have your helmet on anytime you're riding your motorcycle. I think I mentioned that, but also you need it to take it to scoring. So once you've sound tested, then you go up to the community center. And this year we're going to have registration come into the community center by the door in the back. A lot of you don't even know about that door, probably haven't noticed it. It cuts down the congestion through the lounge, which, where everybody's getting food, and there's a beer garden there. When you sign in, you got to bring your helmet. If you don't already have a WFRD sticker on it that we use for the timing, then you can buy one there and get that on your helmet, and then they'll scan your helmet and make sure that your tag works and it's got the right number on it and you're signed in properly. You'll be given a bag which will contain a program. So your gas crew will have one and you'll have one. So the gas crew has all the maps, but in yours is the route sheet. The maps, it'll have your rider's number sticker, and it'll also have a small dot. That's how we figure out where you're going on the course, because we'll have someone at all the splits. And there's the rider groups by color. So if you're in the red group, you're a pro expert or vet expert, your number plate is white on red. So you won't have a small sticker. Everybody, the women pros have white on purple numbers, and then everybody else has got a black on yellow number plate, and we'll have a sticker. And that sticker will be orange, blue, or green. And so you follow those colors of arrows. We'll get into that a bit later. So also in your bag will be some tickets. One of them is a ticket for your t-shirt. I would suggest with the t-shirts, you go directly to the t-shirt booth and get your t-shirt. We've printed a lot of t-shirts, but as the weekend goes on, people purchase t-shirts extra, and you may not get your size or color you want. So I would take care of that right away. In the program that you get, there'll be the maps like this, and there'll be the route sheet, and that lets you know where you're supposed to be, both gas crews and riders, at whatever time you need to be there. So the classes, as I said just a little while ago, red plates are pro expert and vet expert. This is the longest route of the weekend. There'll be sections that they ride that other classes don't. When there's a split, you see pink arrows. The people with the red stickers on, they follow the pink arrows. No one else does, okay? Women pro have white on purple backgrounds, but they have an orange sticker also, so they follow orange arrows all weekend. You don't follow pink, you don't follow blue or green. The orange group has the easiest job as far as the arrows. All the other classes, then there's the blue group, which is, if I list them off, I'll probably say it wrong right now, but it will have signs that say what a blue group. When you get your bag with your sticker, make sure you've got the right color sticker in your bag for your class. There'll be a sign there. So the classes, what arrows, what color number plates, and what arrows are they following? It's all on the chart here beside me. Pro expert and vet expert are all riding with red number plates with white numbers. Women pro are white numbers on purple background. All the other classes are yellow plates with black numbering. And then they have a sticker. Okay, the sticker denotes the color of the arrows you're going to follow and what group you're in. The red plates, they follow pink arrows if there's any pink arrows. At some of the splits, there'll be pink arrows. They ride the longest course. They follow orange otherwise. Orange is our default arrow. If you don't see any other color of arrow, you follow orange, okay? The orange group, they follow orange arrows all weekend. They have the easiest job. They don't have to worry about any other color. They just follow orange. The other class is the blue group. When there's a split, if there's a blue arrow, they follow the blue arrows. If there's no blue arrows, they follow orange. Green group, same thing. If there's a green arrow, they follow green arrows. If there's no green arrows ever, then you follow orange, okay? Also with the arrows, in the past, we've had chevron arrows, which meant that you weren't in a test section, you were in a transit section. The course is made up of test sections where we time you to the 100th of a second, and transit sections which may be made up of road, easier trail, sometimes difficult trail, gravel roads, stuff like that. And that gets you to the next test section. You're not being timed in those sections. You ride them at a reasonable pace, obeying all rules of the road, and also being aware that there could be oncoming traffic and being ready for it, okay? The test sections, you won't have to worry about oncoming traffic, obviously. At the splits, we'll have a sign that says split ahead, and then at the split, it'll say split, and there'll be different colored arrows going different directions. What I was going to say about the transit arrows is they're a specialty arrow, and like everything these days, it's very expensive to print the arrows, and the transit arrows are even more. And the only place now, because this paper has become scarce that the good arrows are printed on, is to get them in the States. So this year we're going to transition out of the transit arrows. So you may see some, but in some of the transit sections, you may just see the normal, what we called test arrows in the past. We were the only enduro, I think, that was doing it. So the other enduros seem to get along fine without it. It's a nice idea when we had it, but where it's going to be the last of the transit arrows will get used up this year. Warning arrow. Warning arrow is an arrow that's pointed straight down. Okay, it may mean there's just a hill over the rise. It may mean there's a log or a hole or a ditch you can't see that's coming. the more down arrows you see, the more you should slow down and maybe wait till you can see what's going on before you get back on the gas, okay? Everybody has a different idea, who's arrowing these sections has a different idea of what is dangerous, but anytime you see a down arrow, just hesitate for a second, make sure you know what's going on. Wrong way arrow is a W that means you've gone by a corner. In the tests, we use ribbon on corners that you couldn't miss, so you probably won't see a W in a test. But out on a transit section where you're running along gravel roads, you'll definitely see the W's there if you blow by a corner or something like that. So remember, when you see a wrong way and you're turning around, the guy behind you might have just missed the corner too. So he may be coming still. So before you turn around, take a look over your shoulder so you don't get run into. A bunch of years ago, I had a friend who that happened to him. Went to turn after missing a corner. Guy behind him ran into him. So good idea for the riders to write their times that they're due at the checks, or what other information they want, like how long the test is. Write it on a piece of duct tape and tape it to your crossbar pad or your handlebar pad, so you know what's going on during the day. It's not a necessity, but riders like to know, and just suggesting it if you haven't ridden one of these before. Might not be a bad idea to take the route sheet and the map out of your program and fold it up and put it in your pack. Just if you're wondering where you are on the route and that sort of thing, or if you have an issue, you'll be able to just figure out where you are a little easier, and also you'll just know how much you have left to do. I think that's it for arrows and that. You do use some public roads. In Ontario, where we are, it is legal to ride on a public road with an off-road plate. Even though you're not licensed, you have to be a licensed driver. But if you have an off-road plate, you need to stay on the side of the road. If there's a shoulder, you're supposed to be on the shoulder, and the maximum speed is 50 kilometers an hour, no matter what the posted speed is. So you have to obey all road rules of the road and the Highway Traffic Act. If you DNF and you're not on a licensed bike, do not ride back on public roads. Some of those public roads may not be authorized for use of off-road vehicles. So stay on the course and wait for sweepers or someone to come along who can direct you or help you get back, truck, trailer, that sort of thing. There may be some two-way traffic on some of the dirt roads. If you're running one of the early numbers or one of the late numbers, this might be the case. Of course, anytime you're on a trail, a wide trail especially, where it's not in a test, you're on a transit section, be aware that you can meet traffic. It could be someone going into their hunt camp in their pickup truck. So just be aware and ride accordingly. Be careful road crossings, and no speeding. If it's the rules, it's in the supplementary rules, which are listed on the website. This event's run under the Off-Road Ontario rulebook. In addition to that, we have the Corduroy supplementary rules, because of the 2-day and things like that. We have some rules that aren't in the OO rulebook. So one of them is speeding. We have radar guns on the course. If the people with the radar gun get you going over the speed limit, then they will record your number, and your number will go to the scoring people, and time will be added to your score. You can check the supplementary rules. I believe if you're 10K over, it's a minute. If you're 20K over, I think you're disqualified. So be aware of what's going on around you and ride accordingly. And remember that lots of people live here. The townships that we go through, a lot of the people like having the corduroy here, but there's some people who would rather not. So make sure that you're the best off-road citizen you can be while you're out there. That means keep your bike quiet. Don't roost, don't wreck the roads, don't leave garbage around, same sort of thing. Checkpoints. So when you're out there, if you haven't ridden the corduroy before, how the checkpoint works is, as I mentioned earlier, you have a sticker on your helmet. When you roll up to a checkpoint, a person will ask you if you're going on the next number. So let's just say you're number 20. Number 19 is up on the flip cards. You're going to roll up because you want to leave on 20. That's your number. That's your row. So they're going to tap. If you say, yeah, I'm leaving on 20, they'll tap your helmet with the sensor, and that will take your time. your time will start as soon as the flip card flips to 20 and you leave, okay? There's 7 riders a minute. You'll see how this works right at the start of the event, because right off the start of the event, you're going into a test on Saturday morning. When you roll into it, so at the end of the test, you don't have to do anything other than make sure they get your number, because you just go under an antenna and it scores you. At the checkpoint though, the next checkpoint, you roll up and there's a bunch of riders waiting because you're there early. Don't park in the middle and block the trail. There may be a rider who's had trouble and they're going to be late. They want to get right to the checkpoint and check through because they're running late. Don't block the flip cards so riders coming in can see the flip cards and know what time. First thing you want to know when you get there, do I need to get to the front? You know, if you're on your number 20 and 18's already showing, well, I need to be up near the front. Where there could be guys there who are on number 25, 30, you know, some of the fast guys, and they have lots of time to wait. So if you're one of those guys who has time to wait, stay to the sides, leave an open path and leave the flip cards clear of view for the riders coming in. Make sure the check crew gets your number on the backup sheets. If your number's muddy before you start the test, rub the mud off your front number plate, or you may have to call it out. The way the hour out rule works is from your original time that you were due at any point on the course. If you're more than an hour late, then you're disqualified. You've gone outside the time schedule. Okay, you may get to a checkpoint, and if you're houred out, the checkpoint, if you're a later number, the checkpoint will be gone. They wait for an hour after the last rider. If you're running one of the later rows, they may be gone. It would be best to stay at that point until the sweeps get there, because that check crew may be pulling the arrows in that section. So I would, if you're not sure what to do, if you have your phone with you, phone that dispatch number, and the dispatcher will let you know, yes, that check crew's gone through. If the arrows are still there and you want to ride and follow the arrows, that's fine until the sweeps catch you and give you different directions. You must obey what the sweeps say, okay? If they want you off the course because you're slowing them down, then they'll find a way to get you off the course, get you with a check crew. Again, if you're on a licensed bike, they'll get you on a road and give you directions back or give you a map. Anyway, you have to follow the directions that they give you. Once you're over your hour, you can't continue if they say no, okay? What else we got there? I think that's about it. As I said, we have sweep crews out on the course. They can't do anything with your dead bike if you're not with it. They can't tow it. They can't, you know, it's just going to stay there and you'll have to go back and get it sometime, you know, once you get back and arrange that. We do have bike rescue crews that work with the sweeps and the dispatcher, and they try to get to all the bikes, but a bike with a rider on it, at least they could tow it. So stay with your bike, please, because otherwise we don't know where you are. We put in a report to our dispatcher saying, bike 62A, we found it in the woods, no rider, we don't know what's wrong. I mean, it may be something simple, and then sweep may have a plug or a chain link or something to get you rolling. So best to stay with your motorcycle. And as I said, follow the instructions of the sweep crew. Most of our sweepers are very mechanically inclined. They may be able to help you that way, but they also know where they are and how to get out of the trail the quickest way and get back to the impound, to the start area. Okay. I think I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but injuries. What you do if you come across a downed rider. If you have a phone, phone the dispatcher if the person is injured. Make sure you give the rider's name, number, what bike he's on, whatever. But the main thing we want is his rider number and his name, and what you think is the problem. If you have any first aid training, great. If not, you know, make sure that the rider won't get hit by other riders coming along, and do the best you can to comfort the rider. We'll get medical staff on site as quickly as possible. Okay, the medics that we have at this community center, they can't treat you for, you know, if you need stitches and things like that. Obviously, you're going to have to go to the nearest hospital, but check in with the medic and they'll let you know what they think, and they'll tell you the directions to the nearest hospital. Okay, gas trucks. We do provide gas trucks to take your gas cans out to the gas stops if you don't have a gas crew of your own. The gas trucks will be sitting in the lumber yard near the driveway exiting onto Highway 507. That's where they'll be all weekend for you to put your gas on and off. Please bring 10-liter cans. Don't bring the big 22-liter cans, 5-gallon cans, because it's just too many for the trailers that we have. As it is, we're sending 2 to 4 trailers to each gas stop. And also, we have some of the gas truck drivers will lift all the cans off for you. That's an awful lot of cans they're lifting if they're 5-gallon cans. Okay, your gas can needs to be labeled so we know who has come through. See, nice label on there, 34A. A lot of guys put on something sticking up so they can locate their can. A piece of gray duct tape doesn't do it because everybody does that. So if you want to stick something on there so you can locate your can quickly, great. A lot of the gas truck drivers will lift all the cans off the trailer, so when you come in, there'll be a big row of cans. And when you're finished with your can, put it back on the trailer. That way we know you've been through. The gas truck drivers will stick around until all the gas cans are back on the trailer, or the sweeps come through and say there's no one else coming, and then they'll take off. So it's a lot better for getting your gas can back to the finish early as possible if everybody puts their can back on. The gas trucks on day one, you need 3 gas cans. Gas 1 on Saturday, put 1 on the trailer. Gas 2 is back at the start, and gas 3 is at Sedgwick. You put 1 on the trailer. Day 2, you need to have a can on the trailers for gas 1 and gas 2. They're both out on the route. Otherwise, you won't have gas at one of them, okay? If you don't need gas at all the gas stops, then, don't put it on. It's just extra weight we're carrying around for nothing. If you want to send something with your gas can, like a spare pair of goggles, a sandwich, a drink, whatever, you need to put it in a very durable bag. These gas cans get dropped on the trailer, stacked on top of each other, and it needs to be attached firmly to your gas can. Otherwise, you won't find it. There's a lot of gas cans, a lot of guys, okay? On day 1, after the second gas, there's another loop that goes out from the community center. The green group doesn't ride this loop. They stop at the community center at gas 2. But the other riders go out. If you're riding on the orange or red groups, it is fairly long. It's like 60 some odd K. I'll get into the route sheet in a bit. You will need to optional gas. You can work with your gas crew. If you don't have one, maybe hook up with someone who does have one, and they could go to Greens Mountain and gas you before you go into the test, or they could go to butt test, one of those. Anyway, we'll talk about that a bit later, okay? There's no washrooms at the gas stops. Parking at the gas stops, don't take up more room than you need to. And I would park so that you aren't, well, the gas stops are all in spots where you're not going to be blocking traffic. They're in good locations. So, but just don't take up any more room than you want. Sedgwick's is always a problem with getting people in and out of there. So do not park on the rail bed. Come into the gravel pit and park in the gravel pit. On the rail bed, it's not wide enough for people to be gassing on it. Okay? Plus, it's hard for your riders to find you out there. Pick up your garbage when you leave the gas stop. Take a look around. Riders drop tear-offs and duct tape and zip ties and wrappers for granola bars. Pick everything up around, even if it's not yours. Please pick it up. So, impound on Saturday night is how it works, okay? When you arrive at the finish check, which is right at the driveway as you turn off 507, you're coming up 507 from the last trail section, the last test, and they will write the flip card number on your round sticker. And whatever it is, it doesn't matter what number you are. If it's 21, they write on your number there. You have 15 minutes from that time to get into the impound. They'll have another set of flip cards at the impound. The flip cards are running 15 minutes apart. So that when you arrive at the impound, if you have 21 on your little sticker, you need to go in on 21. You can go in early if you want, but if you go in after 21, you are going to lose points, just as if it was a special test. You'll lose 60 points for every minute you're late. We don't count seconds. So as soon as you click over a minute and the next flip card goes, that's 60 points. So you want to keep an eye on those flip cards, or know where the flip cards, if you have your watch set, whatever, maybe the best thing is get to your truck, get your air filter done, get your gas in your tank, and then go over, take your tool pack and go over in front of the impound. And if you have other maintenance you want to do, tighten your chain, do whatever, you can do it right in front of the flip cards, so you know that you won't be late. If your pipe is flattened and you want to see if you can get it straightened out overnight, knock your pipe off and then wheel into the impound on time and get it fixed. You can put it back on in the work area the next day. Okay, you have to push your bike into the impound. Make sure you bring a stand if your bike's not equipped with one. Turn your gas off if you've got a carbureted bike. No spectators can get into the impound. No one's allowed in there but our officials and the rider. As I said, you have to shut your motor off, push your bike in. The bikes will be parked in rows. The officials in the impound will make sure you're parked in the right spot. You can't touch your machine after you've parked it. That's it. You can't touch anybody else's bike. You can't start your bike in the impound. You can't put a cover on your bike. We do have security that comes on duty at 7 o'clock, and they're there through the night, but we're not responsible for stolen bikes. If you want to put a lock on your bike, that's fine. And you just come back. If you didn't bring it with you, if you come back to the impound before 6 o'clock, because there won't be our officials there anymore, we'll have someone watching the impound, but no one to take you in. You can come back and go and put a lock on your bike. That's all you can do. Okay. You have to be escorted. You just can't go into the impound to lock your own bike. Okay. If you're caught in the impound without an escort, they won't disqualify you. The work area Sunday morning. So 15 minutes before your start time, you can go into the impound. You come to there will be a set of flip cards at the rider's entrance, and they will let you in 15 minutes ahead of time. You go to your bike, you don't start it, you don't do any work on it, you push it into the work area, which will be outlined. It's very obvious. In the work area, you're allowed one mechanic. That mechanic can't touch your motorcycle other to put gas, oil, coolant, brake fluid. They're allowed to inflate the tires if you're running air, but they can't touch anything else or do anything else, except for the green group. The green group, your mechanic can do whatever you want. They can do all the work on the bike, and you can stand and watch if you want. I would take a rag in with you. If you think your bike's ready to roll, I would still take a rag. If there's frost and that sort of thing, which a lot of times there is, it's nice to have something to wipe the grips and seat off. You can't start your bike in the work area either. When it gets close to your start time, push your bike out of the work area and to the start line. And then push it up on the start ramp. When your number flips on the flip cards, then you start the bike and head off the start ramp. You have to pass a point 20 meters past the start line under the power of the bike within your minute. If you don't, then you're penalized. And it's 1 minute, which 60 seconds, 60 points will be added to your score. Okay, the same thing goes for becoming late to the start line. For every minute you're late to the start line, you're going to lose 60 points, 60 seconds added to your score. Any rider coming to the line 60 minutes after when they were supposed to be there you'll be DQ'd. You won't be starting. The one thing to remember is to gas your bike the night before you put it in the impound. It's a lot easier to bring your bike to the gas can the night before than to have to lug gas into the work area in the morning. Anything you take into the work area in the morning, remember to have someone take it back to your truck for you. Okay, there's no one at the community center during the day, and so if you leave a spare wheel in there, say you went and swapped wheels or whatever, a couple of years unfortunately we had someone steal a set of wheels, and very expensive loss. So we're not responsible for things that are lost, but just remember, don't leave anything in there, please. Have someone, if you don't have a check crew or a gas crew, maybe with you. If you're up by yourself, then just maybe ask someone who does, if they wouldn't mind taking it back to their van or something like that, or their truck. Okay. The Friday route. So on Friday, the Vintage Enduro, which also includes e-bikes, e-mountain bikes, dual sport, and adventure sport classes, will be approximately 35 kilometers for the Vintage and the e-bikes and bicycles. And then there's an additional loop for the adventure sport and dual sport bikes. So they'll be doing over 100 kilometers. I think it's 125 or so. The tests are the demo course test right off the start, and then McCrum's, then the dump test, then Graham Henry's, and it finishes off with task force. Okay, the difference for the adventure sport and dual sport classes is you are going to ride the first two tests. Those are compulsory for your classes to ride. After that, you will be given a route sheet at sign-in, and you can follow the route sheet and follow your GPS route that we will give you, and you can skip tests 3, 4, and 5. You don't need to ride those on your bikes. We've got a route that you can follow on the route sheet to get you back to the finish, and then once you get to the finish, we have another loop that you will ride leaving the community center. It's all GPS and route sheet. There's no arrows whatsoever. Any arrows in the afternoon loop, you don't follow them, you don't pay attention to them, because therefore either they'll be for Sunday's course for the Enduro, or they'll also be for Saturday's afternoon loop for Saturday. So you don't want to be following the arrows. You want to pay attention to your route sheet and your GPS. That's just for the adventure sport and the dual sport class. Out on that loop in the afternoon, there'll be a dead check, which will have some things hanging from the tree. You're to take one of those from the tree and bring it back. And when you get back to the finish, check in with the dispatcher, and they'll check that you've got your dead check proof, and then you'll be counted as a finisher for the adventure sport and the dual sport class. So that's Friday. On Friday night also, we have a pro rider press conference on Friday night at 7 o'clock. For Friday night, everybody will be signing in, busy time. Just at this point, I guess I should let you know what's available in the community if you're coming up. So in Gooderham itself, there is a LCBO, liquor store that sells beer. There's a convenience store, the Lucky Dollar, and there's Chong's Restaurant, which serves diner food, hamburgers, and things like that, plus Chinese food. And then there's also a gas station, J&D Towing. So you can get gas a minute out the highway towards Wilberforce. To the northeast is Lumberjack Restaurant. So there's the two restaurants. On site, we have some food vendors like Into the Blue wood-fired pizza, and also Country Catering, which has a varied menu, and they'll be serving beer. And we're still working on a coffee vendor too. So that's what's available right in Gooderham. And then up northeast of us is Wilberforce. They have a grocery store, a general store, a beer store, a gas station in Wilberforce. It's only about 15, 20 away. Irondale, they have a gas station, convenience store, and beer store. And there's also Ted's Burgers. He makes good onion rings there. Over in Kinmount, there's another grocery store. There's a restaurant there too. Down the 507 Catchacoma, there is The Catch. It's fish and chips, burgers, and that sort of thing. And it's good fish and chips. Further down, Flynn's Corners has gas. So just if you're coming up and you need gas, there's a gas station there. And that's about all for the little towns around. But of course, half an hour away in Halliburton, there's everything. Restaurants, grocery stores, anything you'd need, and there's the hospital up there. So that's your closest town that's full service. They've got everything there. And so Saturday route, I'm going to get my Saturday map and route sheet here so I know what's going on. And so off the start, the first test is the MX test. So you roll up on the start, it's a dead engine. When the flip card flips your number up, you go. And you make sure that they've tapped your helmet and got your time in there to start. So the demo course is a little longer than last year, and it comes out on Tamarack Road. You might have seen online some of the pictures of that long bridge we've built to join it to Jesse Stoughton's property. Jesse's been out there pounding nails and working really hard. He wanted this test to go through his property. So anyway, it's 6.5 kilometers long and come out on Tamarack Road. It's got nothing that's really stands out other than that long bridge. Make sure we've put chain link at the start of it and at the finish and at any corner in the bridge to help you not slide off if it's raining. But be careful, as anybody who's ridden on wet wood knows, it's very slippery with knobby tires. You've got a 7.5 transit after that on Tamarack Road that takes you to the boardwalk test. The test starts right in front of the boardwalk, which again is a very long wooden bridge we've built across a swampy area. That test is 6 kilometers long. we'll put you on to Pencil Lake Trail, 10K of that, to the Toe Jam section. Toe Jam section is the longest section on Saturday at 16.1 kilometers for the pros and experts and vet experts, 15.1 for the orange group, and 8.0 kilometers for the blue and green group. Be very careful. There's 2 splits in that trail. They will be manned, but it's up to you to make sure you go the right way. If you go the wrong way, if you're red or an orange and go the short course, not only are they going to have your number, but also we are going to see it in the scores. You know, it's very obvious. So that would disqualify you. So really, when you're approaching a split, take that extra second, make sure you go the right way. I'd hate to have you ruin your weekend because of a mistake you make there. So after Toe Jam, we've got about a 6-kilometer transit to the gas stop on Anderson Road. At the gas stop, we add 15 minutes into the schedule, but I wouldn't waste time at the gas stop. We will probably have flip cards there, so you'll know when you should be leaving. But the best thing I always say to riders is gas up, do what you have to do at the gas stop, and then get going. Get to the next check-in, and if you're early at the next check-in, you have a set of flip cards there, you're already there, and then you can just do whatever you need to do there. Okay, so keep moving and only stop when you know that you're early, when you're waiting to go into a check. So from Anderson Road, you've got an 8.6 transit out some roads, some trail, through Ian Brown's and onto the Wildcat Trail. And then you'll come to the check-in for McCrum's. For the orange class and the blue and the green, it's 6 kilometers long. It's 12.6 for the red group. So it'll be a lot longer for the red group. So the orange group is going to have lots of time at the next gas or the next check if they get through it okay. So after McCrum's, there is a 17-kilometer transit section. This includes the Irondale River crossing. When you get to the river crossing, you go down the hill, I would suggest you make a crescent shape to the right. That's where the water is the lowest. There's an island in the middle. Once you're up on the island, straight across a short little gap of water and up the hill and you're out. If you watch the videos, I think there's some videos from last year that are online. That'll give you an idea if you haven't crossed it before. If you're not sure of, or if you're what I call inseam challenged, can't reach the ground very well, you might want to get off your bike and walk it across. If you water out, it could end your weekend. So this is a transit section. You have all the time in the world. Remember that you don't have to, you're not under the clock in the transit section. So the next test you'll get to is McDuff's. It's 4.3 kilometers this year. It's a fun test, fairly short, and it drops you out on the McColl's Road, and then you have a short 3.5 transit back to the Gooderham to the start area for gas. You come across the footbridge and then go to your pits where your camper is or truck is and get fueled up and get whatever you need. And then when you're leaving the community center, there will be, it's a checkpoint, which is just check. They've got flip cards rolling, but what the main reason for them is they're not going to take your time. It's not the start of a section or anything like that, but they're going to determine if you're too late to start the second loop. Anybody who is more than half an hour late leaving the second gas will be disqualified there. You're DNF there. It's not an hour there. If you are more than half an hour late, that means the morning loop, you would be houring out the second loop. So we don't want you going out there and then our sweepers have to deal with someone who is going to be an hour and a half behind schedule by the time the second loop is finished. So since you're back at the start, you're at your truck, we have this half-hour rule. So you have to leave the second gas within a half an hour of your original departing time. Okay? Back to our row 21. If you roll up at this check, leaving the gas 2 out of the community center, and you are on 52 is showing on the flip cards, you're now 32 or 31 minutes late. So you will not be allowed to leave. You are DNF. Okay? Everybody understand that? So from there, you'll have a long transit of almost 13 kilometers of road to a brand new test this year, Smith's, which is about 5 kilometers long.
Then you have another fairly long transit, almost 14K, which includes the Miserable Lake Trail and the Burnt River Crossing. And you'll go straight into the next test, which is the Sedgwick's MX test. You don't go to gas first. You go straight into the test, and after the test is gas. Now at this gas, the red and orange groups have 15 minutes and they as standard, and then they have to go. Okay, the blue group has more time. They'll have 56 minutes at the gas stop. This is because the red and orange groups are going to go ride a test that the blue group doesn't do, the Blackberry. That's the next test for them. And we don't want you sitting for 50 minutes at the next test, which is Scott and Sue's. So after the red group does Scott and Sue's, they're going to be doing a long transit of 21 kilometers back to the last test of the day, which is Scott and Sue's and Wheeler's, which is 7.2K, and then another 7.5 back to the finish. Now you have 15 minutes at the finish. When you come in, you're going to be, a number is going to be written on your sticker on the front number plate. This number is a flip card number. You have 15 minutes to work on your bike. You want to go into the impound on the same number that's written on your front number plate. The flip cards will be running 15 minutes apart, but they show the same number. So you have 50 minutes to work on your bike, fuel it up, put an air filter in, whatever you got to do, and then get into the impound. If you're late into the impound, you're charged just like a special test. Every minute you're late, it's going to be 60 points, 60 seconds. So you don't want to be late into the impound if you've ridden hard all day and then you give minutes away at the finish. So on Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock is the Youth Enduro. The Youth Enduro is run right here at the start-finish area, the community center. It's a test that's laid out similar to the first test that the Enduro uses that day. And the riders, the youth riders, will do it several times, depending on what class they're in. Obviously, the juniors and the mini A's will do more than the other classes. There's also a separate Pee Wee class that runs on a separate course, and it starts at 4 o'clock also. At 8 o'clock is the tire change contest to benefit our Canadian ISDE team. All the money raised is for the team. You bet on how long you think it's going to take them to do it, and the winner, it's 50-50 style thing, the winner gets the money.
So the Sunday route, as we said before, you can get your bike out of the impound and walk it to the work area 15 minutes before your start time. And in the work area, you work on whatever you need to do. Push your bike over to the start ramp, up on the start ramp the minute before your flip. And when it flips, you take off. Right off the start is not a test on Sunday. It's a transit. You'll go straight.
And you turn up 507 for a short distance and to Task Force 1, which is the first test of the day at 4.5 kilometers. At the end of Task Force 1, there's a split. The green group goes right and goes up the Good Pen Trail to Fortescue, and the rest of the groups all turn south to Greens Mountain. So Greens Mountain is 8.7 kilometers for the red group, 6.7 for the orange, and the blue group is shorter after that too. After Greens, there's a split. The blue group splits off, and the rest of the orange and the red go to Big Baldy, which is 5.4 kilometers. After Big Baldy, all the groups are joined back up again, and you go to the gas, which is at 32.5 on Irondale Road. And then a transfer of 6.5K to the start of Bernie's. Bernie's is 5 kilometers long. Then there's a 13K transfer, which is all gravel road, to the butt test. 9.2 is the butt test. Everybody runs it. And then a short trail transfer to the way camp section. Sorry, you have a gas right after butt test. And then you go to way camps. So you have 15 minutes added in there. I wouldn't waste any time. Way camps is long. It's 12.0K for the orange and red groups, but we did put a split and a checkout halfway through way camps for the blue and the green groups. So make sure at that split you go the right way. And after way camps, up the highway for a short distance for 2.5K to the last test of the day for everybody but the pros, and that's Campers Task Force at 8.5 kilometers long. And then short transfer up the road to Gooderham. You're going to come in across the footbridge and wind around to where we've got the finish set up as in past years and get your finisher medal. All the red plated pros and the women pro with the purple plates, you're going to go directly into the impound. We will let you know as soon as 15 minutes before the first moto. First moto was at 1:30, and that's it. Everybody's done other than the pros. So you can go park your bike, get cleaned up if you want, and hopefully get back over to see the start of the MX test. So the final moto runs at 1:30. 15 minutes before that, we let the riders into the work area to work on their bikes before that race. So if you can get over to the track by 1:30, that's great.
On Saturday and Sunday, if you have trouble with your score, say you look at one of the scores on a test and they don't have a score for you, or the time doesn't seem right because you rode into a test and out of a test with your buddy and he's got a time that's 3 minutes quicker or whatever, go into the community center and there will be a book of forms, just like similar to the size to what you signed in at the sound test, your sound test sheet. And on there, fill out that and hand it to the dispatcher. The dispatcher will give it to the right person. If it's just a simple fix the timing, the scorers will get it and they'll get it fixed. And just keep an eye on live laps on your phone or on the screens we have set up, and it'll eventually get fixed once it's on that piece of paper, okay? Do that on Saturday right away when you finish so we can get working on it. On Sunday, do it right away when you finish, as soon as you see this problem. On Saturday, if you've gone back to your cottage and then you notice a problem and then I got to do something about it, but I don't want to go back to fill out one of those sheets, well, that's too bad. We're not dealing with anything unless it's written down. If you text us, we won't see it. If you email us, you need to fix my score, we won't see it. And then you come to us Sunday morning and want us to fix that when we're now worried about running Sunday, it's a real problem. It takes up a lot of our time. So then results are delayed. So please, Saturday when you get off your bike, as soon as the scores are all in on your phone, before you head out to the cottage you rented or your own cottage or whatever, check your time and come in and make sure you've got one of those cards. Once the card's in, we'll deal with it. No problem at all. If the problem you have is not just related to timekeeping, if it's a problem with the rules and we need to get the jury and the referee involved, then we'll do that. But we need it on the card. We need it explained on the card. And if we need more information from you, your phone number goes on that card. We'll give you a call. Okay, so we'll get it all sorted out before Sunday morning, or we'll get it figured out Sunday evening as quickly as possible. Okay, so do that right away when you come in. Check your scores. If they're all good, great. Scoring last year, we had very few problems, but we just want to make sure you know how to go about it if you do have an issue. Do not go into the back part of the community center. There's all sorts of signs saying do not enter. Our scorers don't need to be interrupted. Okay, they're busy. They're trying to get the results out as quick as possible so we can hand out awards right away and get everybody on the road. While you're waiting, and when you come at the finish, hopefully if you're in before we've run the final motocross test, get over to the motocross track and you can watch the pros and the women pros. So you can get over there to watch them go. We're going to be probably running 3 motos based on the entries we have. It depends on the finishing rate. There'll be a pro moto first, which will be the riders not in the top 20 as of Saturday results. They'll run a moto, and then we'll have the women pro run a moto, and then the top 20 as per the results Saturday night will be lined up, and they'll run the final moto. So some years it determines who wins overall. Anyway, with the results on Sunday, as soon as we have the results finalized for any of the classes, and protest period is gone, like the 30, I don't even think it's 30, but they're declared official, we'll hand out the trophies for that class. So if you've done well in your class, don't take off, because we could be handing out your trophy. We don't mail trophies. They just get broken and it costs a lot of money and it's a hassle. We think that the volunteers and everybody has put in a lot of time, and if you think you've done that well, stick around and get your trophy. What else we got here? I think we're getting finished here. Anyway, thanks very much for watching the meeting. If you have any questions, as I said at the start, please come 8 o'clock Friday night to the bandstand at the Cord, and I'll be there to answer any questions that anybody has. It won't be a riders meeting. We'll just answer any questions. And if there are no questions, it'll be over right away. Okay, thanks very much, and we'll see you at the court.